police hours. So the goal will be to have you sit in small groups. We've furnished 4 sort of makeshift tables of materials, with each station having its own sort of test for you to take or to tinker with. And the idea is that you'll sit in small groups, and for 15 minutes you'll do one test, and then we'll rotate everybody in for 15 minutes. You'll do the next test. We've got this nice ominous testing timer for you, so you know exactly how long you have to complete your work. And then at the end of it, so we'll do that 15 minutes, 15 minutes, and then at the end of that we'll have a kind of discussion collectively about what kind of madness occurred, right? So these materials are for you, right? So, and I mean that in a very destructive sense. Right? I don't know how else to make that. I don't know how to make that politically correct, but destroy them as needed. Play with them, use them in ways that they weren't intended to be used, use them in ways that you think are better for them to be used, and so on and so forth. That's basically all I want to say without ruining the spontaneity of the affair. So shall we break into groups? We thought we might do a count-off situation. It's like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and you remember your number, and that'll be your group. Okay, so let's start all the way over here. 1, 2,
3, 4, 3.
No, 3.
3?
Yeah.
Wait,
This is the hardest part.
Is this test? Yeah. Take several
4
minutes.
stations or 3 stations?
There's 4 stations, so 3, 3, and 3.
Yeah, it's perfect.
That'll be fine.
Yep.
3, 3, and 3. So 1, 2, 3, 1.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so then 3s with 3s, 2s with 2s, and 1s with 1s. Yeah, so maybe 1's over here at first, 2's here, 3's there, and then unoccupied station.
Pretty obsessed with power relationships. I kept coming back around to what were those dynamics and the methods of control, and that was sort of the core for me, was where was the power resting, who was in control, who was calling the shots, how do we subvert it, anything like that. But as I moved through all of them, it kept, at least in my own head, kept coming back around to power.
Do you feel that any of the tests just reinforced those existing power relationships, or did any of them challenge power relationships in testing?
Oh no, it was all challenged, but that was, I guess, the umbrella of testing for me was about power and control, and a lot of these were subverting it or shifting it, but that was the challenge for me, was to break out of that and say, not be so worried about, all right, well, who's in control, and do we have to subvert the subversion that's being offered to us or anything else?
So it turned you into a conspiracy theory.
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much.
For me, I think it was really therapeutic. Just, I'm lucky enough being an art teacher and not having to teach a core subject, but I know my students come in and they're always really frustrated, especially for finals. They're taking 7 tests in a row, everything is Scantron, everything is data-driven. And it just made me think about how fun this would be to do as a lesson, just to make art out of Scantrons, to make art out of deconstructing the things that measure your success as a student. So it was therapeutic for me, and it gave me a lot of ideas.
I agree with that. I found it very cathartic. It was fun to break stuff and mess about with stuff and think, differently about things. I made over on that station over there, I made a calculator that was having a bit of an orgasm by having its buttons pressed,
That's awesome.
And I thought that I really enjoyed making that. And then also then we kind of thought about the fact that trying to imagine what these materials might be feeling was kind of funny because we were, of course, applying our own feelings to these objects, but then trying to imagine what would their feelings be like if they had their own feelings instead of our feelings. Was fun. And then it was fun to just break stuff over here.
Was so the calculator enjoyed the test taking? Did other materials not enjoy it?
Well, the calculator enjoys certain uses, I discovered. So we didn't go that far. We made second base, but glad this will be on film. No, I tried to imagine, like, you know, and maybe one of you guys actually brought this up, that I think it was you. That at first I was kind of like pressing the buttons just sort of randomly. He's like, yeah, but calculator probably would enjoy that, right? So then we started talking about how
you want something more mechanical,
more thoughtful use of it, and how, you know, that equal button, that's sort of the payoff. But in this particular case, the student pressed the erase, right? So, you know, kind of left it hanging. So trying to imagine the ways in which proper use would be a pleasurable experience for these tools, or one of you all, I don't know, probably this group, I think, had done something with a Scantron where that Scantron really didn't want to be a piece of paper for test taking, but wanted to, you know, fly in the park
The
or something.
playground.
You guys. So that was like the actual desire of these materials is different.
Yeah. So it sounds like it really made you think about sort of the ethics of use, right? How can we take a test in such a way to produce pleasure in the materials? It's an interesting question.
We're talking about different things we've had students do with the Scantrons, and even though they're supposed to be taking the test, so they'll write their name with all the bubbles, or draw an entirely different picture, or just render it useless by marking through certain key markers in there, and then it can't be used. They are refusing it.
Yeah.
It raises the question of where the points of interruption are or might be, and it's interesting that a lot of it is at the user end, right? It's at the kid end, and you know, I often have sort of notions and fantasies. It means I need better fantasies that that you know, a school will get these Scantron sheets and all the teachers will throw them away, or the principal will say no thanks, and you know that there are severe consequences for that. But then, so then where are the places to poke and to tear and disrupt? And I think that was the other thing that was edifying about this, that we were physically tearing and interrupting. But I think your point about the kids kind of doing the bubbles and all that stuff, it further puts forth their kind of vulnerability, but also how they're enacting their agency to the extent that they can.
I think this also speaks to James' point about power relations, right? And how can teachers not just facilitate the test taking, but also be points of interruption, right? And I wanted to ask you, Amanda, about this question. Like, could you see using Scantrons as an art medium with your students?
Oh yeah, but I think it would be frowned upon because it would contradict what's happening in the classroom setting, and so then it would be like this whole rejecting the institution or like the traditional way of teaching. And so I think with the younger kids it would not. Maybe in high school I could get away because I can kind of justify, like letting them explore. But I think in elementary there's just so much of like you have to make sure you're teaching the importance of testing and this, and we want to speak positive about testing and say this is a great thing and you should be excited about it or whatever. So I think doing something like this would be like, I feel like my principal now would be kind of cool with it, but I think that the teachers would be like, no, they're going to rip their paper on testing day or whatever. But there was a lot of things that I was like, I want to take these back, because we were talking about doing like the connect the dots and making a little picture with the connect the dots, and I was like, we can come up with all kinds of fun stuff with it.
What about the individual tests, the laminated pieces? Which of those sort of stood out to you as maybe the most difficult or the most challenging power?
We talked a lot about for the Zen test, it has no real measurable outcome, and we found that really exciting and fun, but it would also be a holy terror to do as a teacher, in the respect that your kids are going to be freaking out, because what do you mean there's no answer? Like, I need to have an answer to this. There needs to be an end. So I think that would be a great very deconstructed, disruptive, fun lesson to do where you need to do this Zen test. We had a lot of fun with that one, I think, trying to figure it out.
Did you get anywhere?
Oh my gosh.
Yes,
we have long notes.
So when we talked about ideas of negation and non-negative negation and that kind of flipping that around a little bit. So we tried out things like, I'm not gonna not refuse. See if that would be the triple negative. I think it's a triple negative. Or is the sky not blue? As a question that just hangs out there. I was not uninvited. And then we decided it kind of leads itself towards sarcasm. Like, I was not invited.
Yeah, so you can't do the Zen test without a sort of sense of humor about it, right?
Well, you had a, why don't you share, not to put you on the spot, but I had an epiphany about the Zen test.
Well, no, I mean, the way that we took it was that it really wasn't, you could not fail.
Yeah.
So I guess we embraced it a little bit more. Maybe by that point I was letting go of these power relationships or something, but just taking the cue from Zen, because that's not really within the statement, it's just the title of that type of test, and saying that if you did hold a thought, really any thought, and kind of just meditate on that, then that's creating a state of existence that isn't negative, and so you're passing, if that's the form of evaluation. But and then you had the statement like, this one's easy, just
We were like, no, done.
done, just do it. Focus, done, Zen, reach Zen, done, you're good.
So your table is very enlightened.
I wasn't able to be Zen about it. Are you sure?
Well, we're putting a lot of pressure on the title. I mean, we did talk about how if we hadn't had the title, and I was thinking if we hadn't done it in the order, in the sequence that they were in, we may not have been as willing, I think, to feel that way. It was maybe just the sequence and the dependence on the title.
Which
Set us
order?
up to be
So
able
you
to-
did that one
We did it right.
first?
Well, we
Yeah.
did it. We started with this one, and then we were
The test that you
and
have to fail to
And
pass.
Kafka, yeah, and so we had just embraced failure, and so, I don't know, we had like already loosened up.
Well, we did start analytically. We talked about,
We did.
for example, the act of trying to look at, okay, what's a positive or neutral negation? So being in a car and the prompt of that like buzz and light, and then you're fastening the seatbelt. So you're doing that act to get rid of this negative buzzing, and that's your focus. Not really like I am going to protect myself, but it's this negation of the negativity of the buzzing and the blinking light and everything. So we did start analytical, and then we got to enlightenment.